best quotes of all time, where the greatest quotes on the planet become your superpower.
The hardest thing is deciding to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Fear is only a paper tiger. You can do anything you decide to do. You can act to change and control your life, and that process itself is the reward. Amelia Earhart. The greatest difficulty does not lie in the long road ahead, but right at the moment we stand before the threshold and hesitate to take the first step. Deciding to act is like lighting a lamp in the dark night. Once the flame ignites, the darkness immediately recedes. The rest, perseverance, is no longer a vague fear, but becomes a steady rhythm, one foot after another, like a mountaineer who has found the trail and just needs to persistently advance. Fear, when faced directly, turns out to be just a paper tiger. It looks fierce from afar, but dissipates upon touch, like our shadow reflected on the wall, larger than ourselves. People are not imprisoned by circumstances, but often bound by their own negative imaginations. When we dare to decide, dare to act, we not only change external matters, but also reclaim control over our inner life. That process, with sweat, mistakes, and even falls, is not a burden, but the most precious reward, as it forges willpower, clarifies character, and gives us the feeling of living fully. Action, therefore, is not just a means to achieve goals, but a way for people to prove their own value, that we can choose, can step forward, and can turn life from a chain of fears into an active journey full of meaning and hope. A person may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on. John F. Kennedy. A quiet yet persistent affirmation of the timeless power of the human spirit. The human body is finite, like a candle in the wind, and the history of nations is like waves, large and small, on the ocean of time, sometimes rising high, sometimes subsiding, even vanishing. But an idea is different. An idea has no concrete form, unbound by borders or years, existing like a flame passed from one generation to the next. When one person falls, their idea can continue to live in the thoughts, actions, and dreams of those who remain. When a nation declines, the idea that once supported it can still revive in a new form, in another land, or in the hearts of people who have never met. An idea is the red thread running through human history, connecting scattered lives into a shared story about the aspiration for a better, fairer, freer life. It is like a seed buried deep in the soil. It may be covered by war, suffering, or failure, but with just a small opportunity, it sprouts and grows strong. This statement, therefore, not only carries philosophical meaning, but also offers people comfort and hope. What is noble that we believe in and pursue will not disappear with the finitude of human life or the changes of the times. A true idea is the way people transcend death, transcend the fragility of history, to leave a lasting mark in the endless flow of time. "20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore and dream." Mark Twain. People amid familiar and safe days, reminding us to look beyond the present, to see our own shadow in the future. 20 years from now, the greatest disappointment won't come from the mistakes we've experienced, for mistakes still carry lessons and vivid memories, but from the opportunities missed due to fear, hesitation, or being too accustomed to the comfort zone. The things not done are like doors never opened, silently existing in the mind and gradually becoming nagging questions. What if? That's why the call to throw off the bowlines carries a meaning stronger than a physical action. It is the liberation of the inner self from the invisible bonds of fear, prejudice, and self-limitation. The image of a boat leaving the safe harbor evokes a beautiful metaphor for life. The calm harbor helps us avoid storms, but if we stay anchored forever, the boat will never understand the true value of the ocean. When daring to catch the trade winds in the sails, people accept risks, but at the same time open up opportunities to explore new horizons where dreams have space to grow. The statement encourages us to live proactively, to dare to dream, and to step forward, for it is that journey, with both joy and challenges, that makes a memorable life. Daring to explore is not denying fear, but not letting fear decide for us. And daring to dream is the way people grant themselves the right to live fully, so that when looking back on the path traveled, we can smile because we once bravely set sail instead of regretting forever watching the sea from the shore. What we achieve within will change our outer reality. Plutarch, the intimate connection between the inner world and the life we are experiencing. Reality is not only shaped by circumstances, conditions, or objective factors, but also reflected from our own thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes toward life. When the inner self is full of doubt, fear, and limitations, the outer world seems to become narrow, full of barriers. Conversely, when within us we accumulate peace, confidence, and firm will, the surrounding reality gradually changes in a more positive direction, as if life is responding to the spiritual frequency we emit. What is achieved within is not tangible things, but growth in thinking, steadfastness in values, and the ability to master emotions. They are like the roots of a tree, silently developing in the soil, unseen by anyone. But those roots determine the height, vitality, and ability of the tree to stand firm against storms. When people forge inner strength, perseverance, tolerance, self-belief, then outer actions become clearer, more decisive, and effective. From there, relationships, work, and opportunities also gradually change, not because the world suddenly becomes different, but because we ourselves have viewed and faced it as a different person. Instead of just hoping for circumstances to change, people can start by transforming themselves. When the inner self is strong enough, reality is no longer something imposed, but becomes a space for us to create and build life in a more meaningful way. Inner change, therefore, is not just a personal journey, but the deep source of all sustainable outer changes. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Confucius, a profound way of looking at the world and at humanity itself. Beauty here does not only lie in things that are brilliant, perfect, or easily moving us at first glance, but also hides in the ordinary, even in imperfections and incompleteness. Like a rough stone in the middle of a stream, if we just glance by, we see it as ordinary. But when we pause, observe, and touch it, we can recognize the unique veins and the story that time has etched upon it. Beauty, therefore, is not simply a property of objects, but the result of a sufficiently deep and slow gaze. Not everyone sees beauty, because each person carries a different lens shaped by experiences, emotions, and inner states. When the mind is full of worries, prejudices, or haste, the world appears gray and barren. Conversely, an open and appreciative soul will discover light, even in things that seem very small. A rainy afternoon, a fleeting smile, or a failure carrying a valuable lesson. The statement reminds us that the ability to see beauty is a form of spiritual wealth, not coming from external circumstances, but from how we choose to perceive life. If we learn to observe with understanding and gratitude, the world will become much richer and more meaningful. When seeing beauty in everything, we not only enrich our own soul, but also learn to be tolerant with others and with ourselves. Because sometimes, what needs to change is not the world out there, but the gaze we give to it.